And we're back with another episode of Successful Marketing, Sales, and Relationships for Adults, Small Business Owners, and Entrepreneurs, where we help you sell what you make. I am your host, best-selling author SaDon Long, and Happy New Year. Yeah, it's a new year. It's a new you. I know. So, without any further ado, man, let's really get to it. Because I said today I was going to give you 3 things that was going to help your marketing pay off in 2025. So I don't want to belabor you long. It's already about 8 o'clock, and I know that stores are going to open soon. You're going to have to start making phone calls soon. So I'm going to give you what you need to have so you can get out here and get it today. First things first. You need to look at last year. If your goal is to do better than 20, if your goal is to do great in 2025, you got to look at 2024. Matter of fact, you need to look at 2024 and 2023. Okay, I know you're busy. I know you said, I got a whole lot of stuff to do. But how do you know where you're going if you do not know where you've been? As a matter of fact, you might want to have somebody else, some fresh eyes, a coach, a friend who's got some business acumen, somebody who's going to hold you accountable. Take a look at your 24 and your 25. Because if you don't look at 24 and 25, how do you then put together a plan? Well, if you don't look at 23, 20, 23, and 24, how do you then put together a plan for 25? Okay. You say, well, okay, I want to do $1 million in 2025. Yes, you probably could do $1 million in 2025. But how? Okay. That's why you got to go and look at last year. Okay. You look at last year and you say, okay, here's the 3 things when you're looking at last year you need to look at. Number one, how much business did we actually do? Number 2, where did that business come from? Did it come from social media? Did it come from referrals? Did it come from cold calls? Did it come from emails? Where did the business come from? Because I was having a conversation the other day, and people automatically were saying, yeah, I need to post more. I'm like, but is your business coming from posts? Or is your business coming from walk-ins? Because if your business has been coming from walk-ins, then you need to do a better job of capturing leads from people who walk in. Meaning you need to put up a sign-in sheet. You need to develop a loyalty program. You need to develop a rewards program. You need to offer people a way to save money. Maybe you need to invest in a sidewalk sign. Because if your money's not coming from social media, but you think it is, and you put more money into social media, how are you then going to make sure that you recoup that money? Because you might be able to increase your walk-in business by just simply putting up a sign. Now, if you need a sign, go to MLA Printing. They make great signs. Malcolm does great work. If you're in the Northwest Indiana, Chicagoland area, you can go right on Facebook. It's MLA Printing. But again, you got to know where your money came from. Okay. Did it come from emails? Okay. Well, if it came from emails, then maybe we need to send more emails. Okay. What emails work the best? Why did they work? See, the reality is you got to pretty much do an autopsy on 2024. You know, where did my money come from? Why did it come from there? How do we get more money from that spot? And have we gotten all the money out of that platform or medium or way of doing business? Because like I said, I was having a conversation over the weekend and people were just assuming that social media was what they needed to be doing. Here's the secret about social media. It's slow, it's unpredictable, and it's probably the least effective way to get a customer. Now, is it necessary? Absolutely. Because over time, people who are strangers become people who are familiar with you if you're saying the right things. And once they become familiar with you and they see other people doing business with you, then typically they want to do business with you too, if you're saying the right things. Now, we'll talk about saying the right things later. But right now, we're just talking about figuring out where the money's coming from, why it's coming from there, and how can we capitalize and take advantage of the opportunity. So the first thing is that autopsy. Where did my money come from? How much money was I getting from each one? Then, what didn't work? Because sometimes what's not working, you need to stop doing. What's not working, and do I need to stop doing it? That's what you need to ask yourself. You know, if you've been spending $100, $200 on flyers every month, but nobody's bringing the doggone flyers back, saying, "Hey, I saw you. I saw the flyer. This is why I came in." And you just been doing it on autofill or just out of habit, but it's not working. Perhaps you should stop doing it. Which leads me to another thing. If you're putting out flyers, are you tracking whether or not they come back or not? Because you need a way to know if they're effective. So, again, I'm telling you this because I love you, not because I want you to be like, "Oh my God, I'm such a horrible business owner." No. If you put out flyers, you need to make sure that those people bring the flyer back so that you can keep track of, number one, where they came from. Did they get it from somewhere local? Did they get it from one of the places that you put flyers at? So that you can then know where your hotspot is. Okay. Man, if you put them out in the bus station or train station and people keep bringing them back from the train station, you're like, "Oh, okay, cool. That's a good spot for us. We might need to increase the amount of flyers we put there." Or we might even consider bringing a person down there to hand out flyers because people there seem to be gravitating toward us. But if you're not making sure that on the flyer, it tells them that the only way they're going to get whatever it is that you're offering is if they bring the flyer in, then you can't track it. So, again, we need to do that autopsy and look at what worked, but then also start looking at what did not work. You're really busy. You're trying to run the business. You're trying to run your life. You're trying to be everything to everybody in your life, because what kind of person doesn't try to do everything they can for the people they love? So you have to be more effective with the time that you do have to put in your business. Not because I said so, but because, again, if you're not, how are you then going to reach the goals that you have in the back of your mind for 2025? Now, we haven't even gotten to the goals and the habits and all that stuff. We're just talking about how do we look at the year we had and how do we figure out what we need to take from last year into 2025 as a business owner. We're talking about what worked, what didn't work. If we look at what worked, why did it work? We look at what didn't work. Do we need to keep doing that? Do we need to do it differently? What do we need to do? But if you never look at it, you can never get a real good gauge on the progress you're making. Ideally, you want to look month to month. You want to say, okay, in June, we had a great month. What did we do in June? Oh, in June, we were giving 15% off to all new customers. In June, I was standing outside with a sign. Okay, can I replicate that in January? Now, depending on where you are in the country, maybe not. If it's cold outside, maybe your walk-in traffic has started to kind of go away because it's cold. But if your walk-in traffic is down, make sure that anybody that does come through that door does three things. If your walk-in traffic is down, here's the three things you got to do. Number one, you got to make sure they buy more than one thing. If you're a restaurant, you got to make sure that they get a meal, a drink, a dessert, and something to go. Now, I know you might say, how do I get all three? Well, here's how you get all three. When you're at the counter and they order their food, you offer something else. You say, hey, for another $1, you can get a soda. Hey, we just got fresh baked cookies. And as a matter of fact, you want to have the fresh baked cookie smell running through the building. So if your restaurant, smell works. So even if you don't sell cookies on a regular basis, bake some cookies. Why? Because the smell is pleasant to people. The butter, the sugar, the chocolate smell. Okay? If you sell coffee, brew coffee, because the smell is going to make people want a cup of coffee. So number one, ask. Two, or maybe 1A is, make sure that you have the smells, the aromas. Number three, you build something that they can take with them. Coffee's a great thing to take with them. Cookie, muffin, something they could have later on in the day, something they could have as a late night snack to take with them. And then the third thing is that you build something that they can pick up. Friday family meal. Hot soup, hot chili, cold day. Buy it by the pint. Take it home, pour it in a couple bowls, you and boo eat. That's simple. But whatever you do, you build it so that it makes sense to your customer. Now that whole scent hack, that's a high level thing, but I guarantee if you're a restaurant and you open up early and you got fresh brewed coffee and muffins in the oven, you'll sell more muffins and more coffee. Goes without saying. But again, you got to do that autopsy. And shout out to Consuela. Consuela's faithful. She jumps in whenever she can, and we appreciate you. Make sure you go over to Crafty Creations by Consuela. If you're watching us on Facebook, she's in the comments, and she'll leave her website in the comments. She'll leave her page in the comments. She does great door decor. Martin Luther King Day is coming up. Valentine's Day is coming up. Easter's coming up. So get your custom crafty door decor in advance so that you can honor your family and honor your loved ones. And, just bring a little something extra to your door so it stands out from everybody else's in the neighborhood. So, but like I said, you got to do the autopsy. And we talked about three things. And I know I'm still on the first one and we had 13 minutes. But got to do that autopsy. What's working? What's not working? Okay. Why did it work? Why didn't it work? So you got to figure that part out. Because if you don't figure out what's working and what's not working, you could be wasting the little bit of time you have doing the wrong things. So once we know what's working, now we got to get our math right. Okay. Marketing is not pictures. It's not, yelling into a microphone. It's not making a whole bunch of noise and hanging a whole bunch of flyers. It is words and math. Knowing what to say and how many times to say it in order to get the result that you want. Most people already know who their target market is, quote unquote. But what do you say to them to make them trust you enough, to make them interested in you, to allow them to see you as a viable solution for their problem so that you can get a sale? That's what marketing really is. What do I say? Who do I say it to? And how many times do I need to say it? Now, on average, a person is going to need somewhere between 5 and 10 times. Okay, I'm going to say it one more time. On average, a sale happens when a person is interacted with you, engaged with you 5 to 10 times. Okay, which is why I say social media is slow, because you can't guarantee 5 to 10 engagements. Okay? You can't guarantee people are going to see you 5 times. You can't guarantee it, because the algorithm may not pick up what you're doing. The person might not be on their phone at the time. You might not have enough reach to reach enough people who are actually interested in what you're doing to get 5 to 10 hits. People might not watch enough of your videos to get to 5 to 10 to where they trust you and then want to do business with you. But the math says somewhere between 5 and 10 is the sweet spot. Now, on the flip side, you can send 5 to 10 emails. And if you have a headline that is interesting enough, people will look at all 5 to 10 of them. And even if they don't, you can start to track the people who've looked at 3, 4, 5 of them and then say, okay, cool. Let me now narrow down what I'm saying to those 5 to 10 people, to those 15 or 20 people, to those 100 people, depending on how your business is set up. But whoever you are, the information that you get, you can then use. If you send out text messages, you can see who responded to your text messages and how many times they responded, how often they responded. If you make phone calls, you'll know, hey, man, I've had 3 or 4 conversations with this person. Okay, we're close to a sale now. We're close to doing some business. Because you can check it off. Do you need a fancy CRM? No, you just need a spiral notebook, a pen, and some check marks. Called Carol today, 3rd time calling her. Carol said when she gets her check. Now I know people are like, well, that's not sexy, that's not glamorous. But it is effective. Now, for those of you who have really big businesses that are doing a lot of money, which is really only like the top 10% of you, yeah, you could hire someone to do that and pay them a lot of money. You could get a CRM system and pay a lot of money. You could get some fancy software and pay a lot of money. But unless you're doing a significant amount of money that allows you to hire good people, cover your overhead, and pay yourself, you might want to cut that expense, cut that overhead, make it a little bit easier on yourself, and just get a pen, some paper, and take good notes. $5 or $6 in a Walmart for some notebooks and some pens versus $239 or better for a CRM system versus, $30, $40 a month to send emails that nobody's opening. Again, man, I love you. I'm keeping it a buck with you. Business is cool until the bills come. And when the bills come, if you have not actually gotten enough customers to pay those bills, business becomes a nightmare. Because now it starts to affect your everyday life. It starts to affect whether or not you can eat, whether or not you can go out, whether or not you can sleep good at night. Because now you're worrying about how I'm going to pay this booth rent, or you're worried about how I'm going to pay this mortgage and still keep my boutique open. You're worried about how I'm going to pay these rising heating costs over the wintertime. How I'm going to make payroll. Okay. But the thing is that if you're not getting enough customers to pay the payroll, to pay for the heating, to pay for the lighting, to pay for materials, you got to cut somewhere until you can figure out what to say, what to do in order to get more people to come through the door. And the thing that gets more people to come through the door is your ability to stand out. Your ability to be perceived as the best solution to your customer's problem. So again, you got to get your math right. And the reason you have to get your math right is so now you know what you're going after each and every month. So you can create a plan that gets you that plus a little bit more. You know, people want to do $1 million, but the first thing we want to do is get you above your bills, consistently above them, you know, to where you're doubling and tripling what your bills are each and every month. So you got to get your math right. You know, if it takes $1,700 a month to run your business, how do we get you to 34? So that every dollar you put in gives you $2 back, so that you have $1 to save and $1 to reinvest. How do we get you there? It'd be great if we could get you to $1 million. But the path to $1 million starts with just simply being able to do exceedingly above where you are. Because once you start doing exceedingly above where you are, now you have money to reinvest. Now you have a system that is proven to amplify. You know, but if you come into the game not knowing what to say, not knowing what works, not knowing what doesn't work, and you're just randomly throwing stuff out there trying to figure it out and spending money to do it, the whole time never noticing that none of that money's coming back, how long are you going to be in business? I say what I say, not because I want to be a jerk. I say what I say, man, because I care. You know, if you were my sister, if you were my mom, if you were my loved one, I'd be asking the same questions. Why do we hire them? You know, how are we going to get our money back? Why are you using social media instead of just picking up the phone and calling people? Okay. Why don't you have a referral program? You know, why don't you have people in the store actively filling out some type of form so that you can get their contact information? Especially if they'll give it to you for a cup of coffee and a muffin. So this isn't about me trying to be performative or me trying to create content. No, this is about me saying to you, person I love, person I care for, person I respect, how do we become the best version of ourselves as a business owner? You know, that's all it is. And if you're not doing the things that get you there, what's the most likely outcome? No, Bible says we have not because we don't ask. It didn't say we didn't have it because we couldn't figure it out. It said we didn't have it because we didn't ask. Ask someone for help. Depend on somebody other than yourself. You know, figure out what qualified help looks like. And not just look at them as another bill, but look at them and say, okay, how does partnering with this person or help me reach my goal? I know I'm all over the place this morning. I'm trying to stay on task, but I'm passionate. Okay. When you say, okay, well, we need somebody to post for us. Need somebody to post online for us. Okay. But how is posting online going to lead to a customer? Because you could post all day and 8 people see it. 3 of which are people that aren't going to buy anything. They just related to you. They're your homies. So how do we turn a post into a sale? And why am I hiring a person who can't turn posts into sales? Because their money is going to come out. And I'm going to look at my account and wish I had that money back. So how do I hire somebody who I can't say is going to pay me more money than I paid them with the work that they do for me? You know, ideally, I pay the clients with my work. They put $1 in, they get 17 of them back. So how is that a bad investment for them? Hell, sometimes I think it's a bad investment for me because of the amount of money that they're getting out of my work. But for you at home, it's great Hey man, I gave the guy $100, he gave me back $1,700. Hell, even if you gave a person $100 and they only gave you back two, that's double your money. Better than your 401k. Am I right? I think I'm right. Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me where you disagree. So again, we talked about the autopsy, what worked, what didn't work. We talked about knowing our numbers, what we actually need to do week to week, day to day, so that we can get where we're trying to go. So if our business needs 10 customers a day, okay, how do we get 10 customers? Not how do we post on social media, but how do we get 10 actual sales? Okay, and how much is each sale worth? Now here's why I said how much is each sale worth. Because if we need 10 sales and each sale is $60, just a number. Well, what if I could turn my $60 sales into $80 sales? Then I wouldn't need 10. I might only need 6 or 7. Okay. What if I could then take the 10 sales that I got and then get them to bring me a customer? So now, not only would I have the 10 sales, I'd have 20. And I didn't have to leave the building to get any of them. So now I'm figuring out how to hit my 10 each and every day because I'm asking for the referral, because I'm upselling, because I am making sure that the number that I know I need to hit has a plan attached to it that helps me hit that plan. Now, then you can go out and you can say, okay, cool, I'm going to do some social media. Cool, I'm going to pass out some flyers. Cool, I'm going to do these other things. But let me get this grassroots thing that don't cost me nothing in place to hit my number. I know that's not the creative side of it. I know you just really want to cook and you don't want to worry about any of that. But if you're not worrying about it, who is? And it's simple stuff. Hey, do you know anybody? Hey, if you fill out our rewards program, you'll save. Simple stuff. Simple stuff, but you got to know your math. If you know you need 5, then you don't stop until you get 5. Give you a prime example. When I worked in recruiting, needed one more by 5 o'clock on Tuesday. This was Friday. Had run out of leads, had run out of opportunities. People were ghosting me. And I just took a sheet of paper, had my friend who has really nice handwriting, said, hey, this is what I need you to tell the person. Put it in an envelope, put it in the mail. The person showed up Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Okay. Well, you said, well, what did you put in the letter? Well, at the time I worked in education. One, I knew the person was worried about whether or not they had a payment to come back to school. They didn't. So I told them, hey, you don't owe us any money. We already have classes for you. All you have to do is come in, fill out the paperwork, go to financial aid, and you can be in class Tuesday night. Put it in the mail. Okay. Everything that I knew she was going to ask me, I gave her the answer to. So there was no reason for her, if she wanted to come back to school, not to come. The moral of the story is, I knew I needed one, so I got creative enough to get one. Now, if I needed 5, I would have been creative enough to get 5. But if you don't know where you're trying to go, how do you then put together a plan that gets you there? And you say, well, okay, I want to do $1 million. Okay. Well, what is the plan that's going to get me to $1 million? What do the numbers look like? Yeah, I need to close at least this many a week. I need at least 3 of them to bring me 2 more people. I need at least 5 new customers. So now you're not just randomly throwing stuff on social media. Now you're saying, okay, I need 5 new people. Where can I get 5 new people from? And sometimes one of your 5 new people might be you calling back an old one. One of your 5 new people might be you calling back all the people who didn't give you a referral and checking up on them and seeing how they're doing and see if they need anything else and if they know anybody. Numbers. Once you understand them, you can then grow your business, because then you can say, how do I increase this number? Okay. So again, we talked about doing the autopsy on last year. We talked about knowing your numbers so that you could then put together plans that actually help you reach your numbers. And then the third thing is make sure you're saying something that your customers need and want to hear to help them make a decision about whether or not to do business with you. If you read in the description, you heard me talking about how we were sitting around and we were talking about support and how to get people to come out and all that stuff. Well, what came up was, if you sound just like the other person, if you look just like the other person. Now, the reason I'm bringing up sound like and look like the other person is because at this point, it seems like every marketer, every branding person is just kind of using ChatGPT and allowing the platform to build a website for them and spending a whole lot of money to do it. And you know what? They all look the same. They all sound the same. They're all saying the same thing. So now, because they all look the same, nobody can charge more money. Now the only thing you could do is be cheaper than the other guy, because the perception is that you are no different than the person who's 3 doors down. Now, true, it was easy, it was fast, it was done like that, and it might look good. But what is it saying to your customer when they see it? What is it saying that is going to make them want to do business with you? Because now you got 10 people who all say they do catering. Okay. Well, what's the thing that's going to make you stand out? They're all going to say they're best. They're all going to say they're good. They're all going to say they got the tastiest. So now, where is the sweet spot for you? Because we know that 5 to 10 is the tipping point. But if they're all the same, they can't even figure out which one they talk to last. Because they're all the same. In their mind, they're all lumped together. I'll just pick one of them, because there's no difference between them and the other guy. Okay. So you have to start telling people what sets you above the norm. Most people do not create any kind of separation between them and everybody else, which is why they struggle and can only sell on price. And when you can only sell on price, the only thing you can ever be is the cheapest to make anybody happy. And even then, they're not going to be happy because you were the cheapest. So now you got to give them 1,000 times more than it's worth just so you can have a customer. But what if you started saying, hey, just simple stuff like faster, easier, simpler, so that you can then get to the point to where you become the obvious choice. Remember sitting down with Barbara's Bakery, and we were just talking, and she was saying how all her cakes actually had real butter in them. She wasn't messing with no butter flavorings and margarines and things of that nature, but it was all real butter. And I was saying, well, why doesn't it say that anywhere? See, that's why taglines are so important. Because again, she was saying that she uses real butter, and she learned from her grandmother. So now, what does a person want? Does a person want a cake? Or does a person want a cake that's made from scratch that tastes just like the ones your grandma used to make? See, if it's me, you might want to name it Church Lady Cakes, especially if you're in an urban environment where you know that the grandmas are revered. Because if you name it Church Lady Cakes just like grandma used to make, it immediately tells people, oh, this is the one I want. All natural, no preservatives, made with real butter. It's the words that make you stand out. Again, we're sitting in the restaurant, top of the morning on Lake Street, beautiful place. Food was absolutely awesome. The service was absolutely great. It's two sisters. They've been open, I think, since October. And all the food's made from scratch. It's made with actual food. It's not made out of a bag. It's real vegetables. It's real potatoes. So they're not just taking stuff out of a box and putting it on a skillet. The sausage came out and it wasn't perfectly round like it had been, in some box somewhere. It came out like somebody had patted it out, threw some sage and some seasonings in it, and put it on a griddle. The potatoes came out and you could see that somebody had diced them. They weren't all the same size. They didn't have that, I'm a freezer box, I'm a freezer potato taste. So immediately when we were sitting around, I'm like, hey, man, you really need to consider telling people, hey, man, this is all scratch made to order, fresh out the back food, so that people know that. Because if people think that you're just like everybody else, then they're going to think you're expensive. But to the people who want scratch made whole food with no added preservatives that doesn't come out of a freezer, they're going to pay the additional $2 because they get why it's the additional $2. Why do you think Wendy's was always charging more than McDonald's? Because Wendy's back in the day, they could say, hey, man, fresh, never frozen. Because frozen implied that it had been in the freezer forever. Fresh meant that, hey, this meat is fresh, it's quality, it's higher quality, it's going to give you a better taste, it's going to feed your system in a way that the other doesn't. That's why Baconators cost more than double cheeseburgers with bacon. Because there's a certain group of people who just isn't going to eat the other thing, whatever that is. So if that's your customer, you need to put the bat signal out for your customer. I know that, we're thinking, man, the words don't matter. But I got a question for you. If your president has a speechwriter, if the movie has a script writer, if the commercial has an ad writer, why don't you? Okay, either you learning from someone like me what to say so that you stand out and easily close more customers than your competition at your price, or hiring someone like me who can write it for you. I tell you these stories all the time. I remember sitting with a client and they were walking me through everything they were doing, and I was like, oh, there it is right there. It's when you transition from the end of your webinar to your close. That's where you're losing them. What you're saying right here isn't working. Okay, so what you need to start saying is, hey, for those of you who want to start fast, we have a fast start fast program. Now, originally they looked at me like I was crazy, like fast start fast. Why the hell do we want to do that? Because it immediately tells the people who want to start fast that this is the program for them. You don't have to explain. Okay, we're going to help you get started. You can just simply say, hey, fast start fast. That's the program. We're going to help you fill out your paperwork. We're going to help you get your insurance. We're going to help you find your first truck. We're going to help you do everything you need to do to be on the road within the next 30 days. And guess what? All of a sudden, man, they started closing 10 out of 14, 13 out of 17. And we realized that we'd set the foundation that they could then amplify. Okay, so now instead of us trying to get 13 or 14 people over here every weekend, let's figure out if we can do it live and get 30 or 40 people. See, now we know what to say. Now we know what to do. Now let's just do the right thing more times so we can then hit that $1 million number. 1.6, by the way. But if the foundation wasn't set with the words and the math, could have never got to the 1.6. It is very simple once you know where you're trying to go and you know that you are in the right car with the right directions. You sleep better at night because you know you're doing the right thing and you know that you have a plan in place that's going to work. Man, when I get up in the morning, boom, I already know what I need to do. I need to follow up with these 5 people. Boom, I need to make sure that I call these 2 people back that I got referrals from last week. Boom, I need to make sure I got Miss Betty's order ready to go because she's going to be there at 7:45. And you work it, and you work it, and you work it, and it works. So again, we need to do the autopsy on last year. We need to understand our math, and we need to make sure that we are saying what our customers need to hear in order to make us stand out and become the obvious choice in their eyes to do business with. And the way that we do that is we talk about the things that we know our customers are concerned about and need to hear. With that fast start fast, they wanted to be in business. They were excited. So how do I actually get in business? Now, you could go home and you could try to get it done on your own and call these people and call those people, or you could use our people and have it done by the end of the week. They had a choice. And when you gave them a choice to start faster, they went with the choice that allowed them to start the fastest. Man, I love you. Being honest with you. Not trying to hide nothing from you. Not trying to say, hey, take the course and then you'll find out all the secrets. Yeah, there will be some more stuff because obviously you can't cover everything in 45 minutes. And if you actually sit down with me and we can really look at your business, then of course, obviously looking at your business, then we tailor everything to your business and figure out what your version of a fast start program is, figure out what your version of a how do I stand out is. But the things that will not change and that will not go away are, A, businesses need customers. 2, you need to stand out to get them. And the way that you stand out is words. Okay. Now, even if you're using SEO to drive traffic to a website, you still need to win above the fold. And the way you win above the fold is with words. And in case you're wondering what above the fold is, that's that first part. As soon as a person goes to your website, you got about 3 seconds to tell a person what it is you do, why what it is you do is important to them, and how they can buy it. Okay. And even after that, now, I know you're saying, well, it says it further down on the website. But if it says it further down on the website, but what you told me in the first 3 minutes ran me away or confused me, why would I go further down in the website? Guy told me the other day, it's like, well, they'll find out when they come in the restaurant. But if you can't get them into the restaurant, how are they going to find out? Just ask it. You cannot make assumptions. You have to make sure that you're covering all your bases. And you cannot cover all your bases until you actually figured out what your bases are. Love you. Keep it a buck with you. If it was my friend, if it was my sister, I'd be the same way. I'd be out here standing between you and scammers, standing between you and quote unquote content people, and standing between you and these platforms saying, hey, but how are we going to make our money back? Okay. What's the path from us giving you money to us getting money back? You say you want $750 a month. Okay, well, how does $750 a month turn into $2,400? And have you turned $750 into $2,400 before? Okay, can we talk to those people? Is there a place where those people said that you did that or something similar to that? Can you give me a 30-day plan that shows me what happens each step, day by day or week by week, and how it's going to work? And what you're willing to do if it doesn't. I think that's probably one of the most unique things about working with me, that I literally am trying to show you how your money's coming back before you even give me money. This is how it's going to come back. This is what we're going to do. This is why it's going to work. This is how you actually are going to recoup what you're investing in me. So essentially, I'm paying you with my work, and my work is paying off. And here's how it's going to pay off. So now when you sit down with me or you sit down with someone else, that's the same mindset you got to have, because you're the business owner. You have people counting on you. And what kind of business owner doesn't know how their money's going to come back? Just asking. Now, what does it say about you as a person if you don't know why your money's not coming back? And I mean, I'm talking more than about it takes time. Well, it takes time, and things don't happen overnight. Okay. They don't. Okay. So if you say the right thing to the right person 4 or 5 times, the 5th or 6th time, something should happen. So are we on 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 yet? Or are you just giving somebody money to post stuff without having a clue how it's supposed to come back? Because now, when it doesn't work, you're mad at them. You're mad at yourself because you saw that money go out of your account, and now it's not coming back. And it's like, ugh, money's tight. But money's not as tight as you think it is. It's just that you're putting it into the wrong people and in the wrong place. You need to put it into people who are ultimately going to pay you back, who are going to give you a return greater than what you invested. But this is day 1. Man, I'm working on figuring out, trying to go back to doing this every day. Let me know if it helps. If you need my help, don't hesitate. Go to growingrich.com. We specialize in rapid growth, rapid results. We'll tell you what to say, how many times to say it, then what to do once you say it to make sure that you can stand out, close customers at your price. Because that's what's going to make you a better business owner. That's what's going to make you more comfortable in your community. That's what's going to make you more comfortable in your skin, allow you to sleep better at night, knowing that you have a plan in place that gets you what you need. And man, ask about me. I'm not afraid. I ain't running from it. I got a good name. Never lost people money. So ask about me. As always, man, it's your business, big bro. I love you. And there's nothing you can do about it. If you need my help, go to growingrich.com.